I'm a huge believer in the transformative and healing power of self love. I have experienced it myself and I have seen it for hundreds of my clients how bringing more self respect, self compassion, self kindness into your life can help you live a full, rich, and meaningful life. We all need self love. But if you are a highly sensitive and empathetic woman, you need huge doses of self love, like really huge doses. Hello, my name is Kasia Kalek. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and women's holistic coach. And for over 15 years now, I have been supporting women on their way to fall back in love with themselves so that they can build rock solid confidence and create thriving relationships. And today I want to tell you about 5 life-changing ways, 5 life-changing steps in which you can start to practice true and authentic, very gentle but very radical self love in your own life. Um, when highly sensitive, empathetic, emotional, warm-hearted women come first to me, they usually experience a lot of stress, a lot of tension. There's often some kind of anxiety or even depression. And first of all, there is this undercurrent feeling of there is something wrong with me that they experience. But when they start to engage in therapy, when they start to engage in the work we do, they start to thrive and blossom very, very quickly. And this is because as highly sensitive people, we respond very strongly both to negative but also to positive input. So these 5 practices, once you invite them, implement them into your life, they will help you very quickly to build your self-confidence and also this sense of being okay with your own body, with your own emotions, with your own thoughts, and also where they will transform your relationships with other people in your life. So let's dive in. So, the first and the most essential practice, the first step on our journey to self love is always to start practicing self awareness. The most important thing is always for you to get to know yourself. And it might seem like you know yourself, right? You've been living with yourself for your whole life. But actually, what we know is quite often the stories we tell about ourselves. And these stories can date back to, long, long time ago. Many of them were created when you were very young. These are the stories that you were told by your parents or by your teachers and you believed in. And a lot of these stories kind of revolve around I'm too sensitive, I'm overreactive, I'm too much this or not enough that, and basically I'm not good enough. And when we start to practice self-awareness, when we bring more attention and focus to what is really going on with us and within us, we start to see these stories for what they truly are, just stories. And it becomes much easier for us to let them go and reconnect to who we truly and authentically are. Self-awareness also helps you to understand what's going on with you, like in the moment. So, why do you freeze in the middle of a difficult conversation? Or why do you feel overwhelmed or confused when you have a lot of things to do and a deadline? Or, why do you always overthink or overanalyze things to the point of losing sleep at night? Why is your body reacting in the way it is reacting? Why is it, throwing all of these emotions or thoughts that that you seem to have no control over? So if you don't understand what's going on, with your whole system, that you are at the mercy, yes, of the sensations in your body, your emotional reactions, and the thoughts that might be really obsessive or recurrent, right? Self-awareness, self-knowledge is always the first step for you to get back in charge of what's going on with you, and at the same time to reclaim your freedom. So this is where we always need to start from. And then the second step that is necessary and that we sometimes try to avoid, and this is to deal with the past. To heal the past, to understand the past, to make peace with the past, to forgive the past if you need to. Uh, if you are a highly sensitive woman right now, you were a highly sensitive child in the past. And that means that unhealthy family dynamics, that school problems, that childhood illnesses, not to mention all kinds of trauma or adverse experiences, toxic relationships, all this impacted you more than others. Chances are also that you felt quite misunderstood, both by adults in your life and by your peers, because of your highly sensitive traits, which were different from other people, right? And all this leaves deep wounds in us. And these wounds, although they happened sometimes long, long, long time ago, they can still be very much alive and active in us right now. Did you know that if you have like around an emotional experience when you were a child, there was a neuron network created in your brain, like a cluster of neurons, of nerve cells that is connected with this emotional experience. And these neural networks are very much alive right now. So it means that whenever there is something in your life that resembles this original emotional event, even in a very vague way, this might trigger this neural network so that it becomes active again. And it takes control over your reactions, over your emotions, your thoughts, and your behaviors, even. So the past, although it's in the past, can still steal your present and your future. And this explains, all these emotional reactions that are very strong, that are recurrent, that sometimes it feels like you have no control over. All these things are just you being sucked into a memory time hole and reacting more to what happened in the past than to what is happening here and now. So, because of our sensitivity, we quite often avoid um, dealing with the past. Yes, we avoid processing or doing our work around the things that happened to us in the past. But I promise you, there are ways of doing this work in a gentle way, slowly at your own pace, so that it doesn't overwhelm you. And actual inner child work is one of the most heartwarming kinds of work that you can imagine. And this is a big part in what we do in the Self-Love Incubator Inner Circle. Uh, so if this is something that you feel like you need to do, we have a safe, supportive, nourishing space where you can do this work, and you'll get access to all the tools necessary to do it as well. So that was number two. Now, number three is about creating a new perspective. So most of us grew up hearing like, you're too sensitive, you're just overreacting, toughen up, grow a thicker skin, right? Or even, what's wrong with you? my own one of my own traumatic experiences, connected with that was when I was invited for the first time to my boyfriend's family home when I was like, my late teenage years. And it was supposed to be like a very informal visit. And it turned out to be like a huge family dinner with plenty of people I didn't know. So you can imagine how overwhelming I felt, how overwhelming it was for me, and how anxious I felt. And at some moment, when I was really not feeling well at all, I had a conversation with my boyfriend's cousin, and she said something simple, but I just froze in the moments, and there was this long silence and long awkward silence, and then she said in the end, "God, you're so weird." So this comment stayed with me for years, right? Now, when we start to understand what being a highly sensitive person means, we can start to look at our past experiences and at our current experiences with a very different eyes. Being highly sensitive is not an illness, it's not a disability. Actually, I think it is my superpower, and I would love for you to start to see that this is your superpower too. Uh, we have so much to offer both to ourselves and to other people when we learn how to stay in our power. I often like to use this metaphor that being a highly sensitive, empathetic, warm hearted, emotional uh, woman is like being like a mountain spring. This is your natural state when you are nurtured, when you are nourished, when you are relaxed, when you feel okay with yourself. You are like a mountain spring. You are full of this fresh, life giving water, and so many people can drink of you. But imagine that the inflow of water is stopped, that there is no inflowing water coming to the spring. Now, the water that's inside becomes stale quite quickly. It becomes poisoned with resentment, with anger, with bitterness, with burnout, with depletion. I imagine that the inflow gets stopped altogether. The spring might dry up completely. And this is such a heartbreaking thing to see and happens so often in our life. So as a highly sensitive woman, your most important task and mission is to keep the water flowing, yes? To understand all the things that you have to offer, and you have plenty to offer, yes? Your creativity, your ability to listen, your ability to be there for people when they need you, your attention to detail, your ability to process things really deeply. You have so much to offer, but you need to make sure that the water is flowing. So these last two steps are exactly about that, about making sure that the water in your spring is flowing. So number 4 is about surrounding yourself with people who get you. This is a huge part of self-love, yes, to have a community of friends around you, a community of people around you who with whom you feel fully accepted, you feel seen and heard for who you truly are. You can share your experience, and you have the sense that you truly belong, right? And this is why I started the Self-Love Incubator Inner Circle, to create the safe, supportive, nourishing space where we can be just, unapologetically ourselves and be witnessed and seen and accepted for who we truly are. And that was one of the best decisions in my life. So if you are in need of other women who are like minded and like feeling women, then I really encourage you to check the inner circle. There is a there is the link in the description of the video, and the doors are open for you. And the last step, that is last but not the least, but also it comes last for a reason. So now, when you started to practice knowing yourself much better and understanding yourself much better, now that you healed the past, now that you have like a new perspective on being a highly sensitive person, and now that you have a support network around you, it'll be much easier for you to start taking very practical steps to make sure that your everyday life on everyday basis is building you up instead of depleting you or overwhelming you. And this is about very practical changes to to your work life, to your family life, to your lifestyle, to your personal life, to your inner life, even diet and exercises. All this can have huge impact on how you feel in yourself. And I know sometimes it sounds daunting, but actually sometimes these are little tweaks that are needed, and then they can create huge results. So again, it's much more easier to do this with support, because we have a lot of these blind spots that sometimes don't allow us to see the most obvious things that can be changed, so that we can feel better, so that we can feel more relaxed, more nourished, more at home in our own body, in our own life, in our own relationships as well. So I hope these 5 steps or practices give you a very clear pathway of what you can do to move away from feeling like frazzled, anxious, disheartened by your sensitivities, by your intense emotions, by your deep processing, and instead use them um, use them as a way to start living a full, rich, and meaningful life. And both me and the inner circle are here to support you. Thank you.